Hi guys, Jen here with Astrology and Earth Magic. So I hope everyone had a fabulous, safe, and happy New Year's. Welcome 2026. I cannot believe it. It's insane how fast the time goes, especially this year. Lots has happened this year in my life. Seems like everything, lots has happened around the whole world, actually. So today we are talking about our very first lunation of 2026, and that is our full moon in the sign of Cancer. And this is going to be at 13 degrees and 1 minute of Cancer, and that is actually going to be tomorrow morning. So I am doing this a little bit later than usual. I tried to give a little advance notice, but with so much, like I said, so much going on with the holidays and everything, just had no time. So don't hold it against me. So this is happening tomorrow morning at 5:02 a.m. here Eastern Standard Time. So normally I would be putting water out to, get that full moon energy. But it's so cold here. It's been in the 20s for what seems like weeks now. And so I'm just going to use the snow. We've had snow, it's not melting. So I think the snow will actually absorb that energy from the full moon, and I can use that instead of actually putting the water out, because the last time I did during the last full moon, my jar actually smashed because when it makes ice, the water expands. So, but if you are making your moon water, it's, keep it out all night. It's going to be at its fullest intensity at 5:02 a.m. So the moon is in its dignity in Cancer. So this is very love-filled moon. It's very compassionate, very intuitive, that kind of going with your gut kind of full moon. Also it could be that feeding our needs, so that that compulsion to just kind of feed ourselves. Plus it's cold and you want that nourishing food to just make you feel good and make you feel warm. That good old-fashioned home cooking, and that what they call it, comfort food. So that is like this time of year, especially with everything going on in Cancer right now, because we have the moon there with the full moon, we have Jupiter in Cancer. So really it's about feeding our needs. But the full moon is, of course, in the water sign of Cancer, so we may be a little extra sensitive. So we could be eating our emotions a little bit, feeling like you need to protect your feelings, maybe being a little bit oversensitive, maybe get a little bit snappy, reading too much into what people are saying to you. That is because of a lot of the other aspects that are going on as well. And this could be especially felt due to this opposition that we have. And it's a triple conjunction. So we have the full moon in Cancer opposite a triple conjunction in Capricorn with Venus, the Sun, and Mars. So maybe, again, we could have overdid it over holidays, and we're going through that post-holiday slump. Like I ate too much, I don't feel good about myself, I'm broke, I spent too much money, or whatever, or I'm exhausted, I did too much, why did I do so much? And I've had a couple 4-day weekends, and it seems like I'm busier when I'm off of work than when I'm actually at work. So when you go to work, it's actually like a relief. So you could be feeling that overwhelmed. Your emotions are on high, so much going on. And, but maybe you're also feeling, like I said, a little bit down on yourself. Maybe down on your looks, that Venus, maybe a little sluggish, wishing maybe that we had done more. And this time of year, we're thinking about, okay, well, what did we do last year? What did we accomplish? And maybe you're feeling like, I didn't do enough. And that's that opposition with Mars. It's like, okay, did I put enough effort into things? And did I put enough of my drive and energy into things? And that's that with that conjunction with the Sun and with Venus. So, did I do enough to make enough money to put up a good enough, to have people respect me and a good outlook? So how do people see me? How did they react to me last year? So you could be feeling that, like maybe there are things that I didn't do right, that I didn't do enough. And, so maybe you're struggling with some regrets and, how that can be. And then, kind of, lazing around a little bit because it's cold out. So you could be feeling a lot of that going on right now. But this stellium, and that's when you have, multiple planets, usually like 3 or more in a sign. So a stellium in Capricorn can really, though, provide that motivation that we need, because Capricorn is that Saturn ruled sign. And so with this full moon, we are at this catalyst, just like with any full moon. We are at a peak right now. So it's like, okay, so we have worked hard. We are at this. So now where do we go from here? What are we going to bring forward with us until we get to that new moon cycle? So now what are we going to bring and then restart with that new moon? So it is time, to really look at your accomplishments and figure out how to bring those talents that you've achieved over the year, or not even over the year, just over this, the last 6 months, I would say, and these life lessons forward to utilize them in a really productive way, and how we're going to move forward with them. Our triple conjunction brings passion, Mars, and it brings vanity, that Venus, and it brings drive, which is that sun, and it is all of that, and all will be sextile to the North Node. So again, looking at the progress that we've made and saying, okay, what is working and what am I going to bring forward, and how has this pushed me to get towards my goals? And because you're at this catalyst, this is a lot of work, passion, drive, vanity. Okay, how do I make myself look good so that I can maybe get that raise? So it's all kind of works together. And these 3 personal planets are really just working together just to give us that motivation to move forward, that motivation to like, okay, I want to be this standout person. I want to stand out. I want to show the world what I am capable of. I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to get what my goals are. I'm going to go for that brass ring and go for my destiny, with that North Node in there. This stellium in Capricorn is the foundation that we need. It's that building block that we need. It's that stepping stone. And it has that determination, that practicality also, to know what's been working and what's not. This is, not that pipe dream. This is more practical and more, okay, I'm not going to just fantasize about things. I'm going to look at it as, can this really work? And that's what you're kind of working towards with this. Work hard, look your best, look the part. Not only looking your best about vanity, but looking the role, and this is how you can start fitting in, especially in, like, say, in your job. You want to be able to fit in, you want to, look the part. So if you are, working in an environment that you want to stand out, you want to dress nice, you want to dress professionally, and that actually can help make you feel better about yourself, because you're putting that effort into what you look like and you feel confident. It gives you a little bit more confidence than showing up to work in like sweatpants and Crocs or whatever. So it just gives you a little bit that motivation, and just like you just feel a little bit more pride. And that is how these 3 planets are working together for us. And if you feel the part, you could get the part. You know what I'm saying? So Chiron at this point will have station direct. And that's actually happening today. So Chiron's stationing direct. So we're healing. So we've kind of reflected on, maybe we've been going through a little bit of like, woe is me, looking back at things that have always bothered us, and saying like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that because this. Now we're going to let that healing begin, and we're going to start kind of like, okay, now that I've reflected on this, how do I move away from all this insecurity and let it go so I can move forward. And you could be feeling that. I'm talking a lot about being in the job front, but this also could be in relationships. So relationships, you might find it hard to move forward. You might also, not be putting your effort into a relationship. You just kind of like, want it as is. But all relationships, even if you've been married for 20 years, I think they all require a little bit of effort. So this is all about really personally, you want to look nice. You want to make especially your spouse or your partner proud to have you and love to look at you. Like I wear my sweats around the house, but there are times when we go out and you want to look nice and you want to work on that relationship just to show like I actually do care about our relationship. I don't want it to go stale, and it's that putting that effort in because you want that your goal is to if you're in love with this person, to be with them forever. If the goal is to, make those strides at work, this is about putting the effort in to achieve those goals that you're going for. And these planets are really helping, and it's an opposition. So it can be difficult to pull yourself out of that funk. And because you could be just in that kind of wallowy, woe is me again, like I said. So with that opposition, it might be difficult. It's like that seesaw, and you're trying to get up when you might be feeling like you're getting pulled back down. But let that Capricorn, and it takes a little bit of time and it takes effort. That is not something that's just handed to you that's nice. It's that work that you put in. So you have to put in the work, whether it is in work, whether it is in keeping your house looking nice, whether it's keeping your relationship, even your relationship with friends as well. It's all about putting work in and getting back in return what you put out there. And that Chiron is really getting you out of that. So you're letting go of that insecurity. So you're feeling a little bit more confident and saying, that happened to me before. That was the old me, and I need to move on from that. I need to move on from that insecure, shy person, or whatever it is that was holding that angry person, that jealous person. So that's what you're kind of releasing and letting go of. So, you still want to protect yourself, because this is Cancer that we're talking about. This is a full moon in Cancer. So you do want to protect yourself. You do keep that shell. So you do hold things inside a little bit. Your emotions, you don't put too much out there. It's not like you're wearing everything out on your sleeve. It's not like you're telling the world your business. So if you are having issues, a lot of it you do keep to yourself, and maybe you're not discussing the things that are bothering you. Maybe you're not bringing those things up at work or in your relationships. You're just kind of holding them in, and Cancer has a way of doing that until it hits its peak. So that's where your emotions could be bubbling over right now. So you want to try and keep those in check. We do have that Mars in there, which can, it can be aggressive. So if you have been having some issues, you don't want to blow your top. You want to listen to what your body's telling you, listen to what your gut is telling you, and think about how you are going to express what you want to talk about. So again, you keep things in, but you don't want to explode when you finally get things out. Mercury is kind of adding to the stellium. It's not in the conjunction, but it is in the beginning of Capricorn. It's at that 2nd degree. So we have all 4 of these planets in Capricorn right now. And it's kind of trailing behind that triple conjunction. So it's just like, it's these ideas and stuff kind of almost like in our back burner that's kind of starting to catch up. And it's kind of like, okay, let me get up here with my great ideas. And it is, building steam after its last retrograde. It's also in a separating square to Saturn and Neptune. So our minds are starting to clear and things are starting to come out and things are starting to make sense. We're beginning to see the truth and the difference between what is real and what's not real. And I think this is going to be like a key thing this year, is that things that we once thought was fantasy is reality, and things that we thought was reality was fantasy. And I think, like, you know, it's going to change a lot of our mindsets on a lot of things. And I think that is going to be a big theme in 2026, is those shocks and revelations and surprises and news that's coming out that you're like, oh, damn, you know, okay, I didn't know that. And now that I know that, I'm going to start rethinking this. And this could be, you know, anything. It can be politics. It can be, we've already had some shocking stories come out, and more are going to start coming out, I'm sure. And, you know, we had the fraud there in Minnesota. And then, you know, we have the Epstein files that are supposed to be, you know, really coming out. I think it was like January 19th that we're supposed to be hearing more and more from. Of course, all this alien stuff. There was that movie, and I haven't seen it yet. And I guess Marco Rubio is talking about something about these aliens. And then we have that 3-eye atlas. So I think a lot of shocking revelations are going to start coming out this year. And I think this is going to be, 2026 is going to be that eye-opening year that's just going to be like, holy shit, you know, that kind of thing. So the moon is moving towards Jupiter. So we have those both in Cancer. Now Jupiter's retrograde, so they're kind of coming together. So we have those needs and that, you know, Jupiter coming together. So coming together to reflect on the past. So again, things coming up from the past that are going to be big news, big, you know, truths illuminated. We have those luminaries really lighting things up, and learning how to deal with it mentally, you know, without flying off the handle, without going crazy, because again, we have emotions on high. We already have people just going crazy about any little thing that goes on. And these are the things that we just have to kind of, again, keep in check until you know all the information. Don't go flying off the handle. Learn everything you can. When we have that Mercury moving towards the stellium and closing in on it, you want to learn to heal and move on with the information that's coming out in a productive and positive way of kind of like, okay, coming to grips with things, you know. Also, going back again, you know, we're talking about the regrets that you might have had from 2025. Jupiter retrograde has us, it's in a sign for a year, has us reflecting on our overcompensation for things. What have we overdone? What have we overcompensated for? What have we you know, and kind of bring yourself down a notch. Just say, okay, you know, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm not going to be so over the top when it comes to X. Like, I'm not going to be, you know, so over the top emotion wise, so over the top, like emotions can be a big thing. You know, and also with this in Cancer, it has us reflecting on, you know, consumption, because that Cancer, that's like, you know, those needs and fulfilling those needs, and how have we fulfilled those needs, and have we kind of overdone it? So you want to be true to yourself a little bit as well. Now, looking at the big picture, what does this mean for the general public and like the nation and the world, really? And particularly, we're going to look a little bit, and I'll talk real quickly about the US chart. So again, full moon, we're at a pinnacle. And the US chart, if you want to pull it up and kind of look along with me, it is the US Sibley chart is the one that I use, and that's what most astrologers use. So look up that chart and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So again, you know, at the pinnacle, you know, this in Cancer, this full moon can almost certainly mean again, that we have issues around liquids. So because this is in a water sign, and we also have that Neptune at that 29th degree. And that's that last critical degree. So we have this full moon in Cancer right now, and we have Neptune at the 29th degree. So we're already seeing things caused by this tons of like rain that's coming in, talking about California right now, and we love to watch, my husband and I, we like watching like world cams, and it shows the cameras from all over the United States, different ones, and all these popular destinations. And it just seems like for the last like week, every time they show California, it's raining. It's like, when does it ever rain in California? But it's been raining so hard, and we find out this morning, mudslides. So this is the things, this is what this Neptune is doing. It's just causing this overwhelming of rain, and we've had a ton of snow here in the East Coast, and we usually do not have this much snow by now, and it's cold and it's bitter, and it's just every other day it's like we're getting 3 inches of snow. It's not like we're getting 3 feet, but it's just having to deal with it. So we're seeing these floodings happening on the West Coast, and also what we're seeing here in the United States is attacks by water. So we have it can be having to do with oil as well, not just water, and other liquids, because Neptune in Pisces, very liquid, and so is Cancer. So we have a lot of these water signs going on right now. So we could see, like I said, attacks by water. We could see oil spills, and other issues involving oil, water, and other liquids. Overabundance of even liquids in your own self. Like, I know my nose has been insanely stuffed lately, and just pouring, like, not gonna get into it anyway. But also it could have to reference drugs and alcohol. So let's think of the United States and the big news stories that are going on right now that have been playing out here in the US, and it kind of is spelling this all out to a T, really, if you think about it. So like I said, we have these this California rainstorms that's just tons and tons and tons of rain that's falling on them, that they've actually had mudslides, and and talking about drugs, drugs and alcohol with that Neptune, with the US blowing up these drug ships. And so we have drugs on water getting blown up. And, so that's so, Neptune in Pisces with Mars in there, and even the US seizing oil rigs. So much to do with, attacks on water, and, these oil and all this stuff. And it could actually, with this full moon, come to a breaking point. Maybe there'll be some retaliation going on. I think it's Venezuela that we were seizing the boats from. And so maybe there'll be some retaliation there, or, something happening going on. So in the US chart, the US is a Cancer nation. That's why this full moon is going to be very intense here. We're already, like I said, we're already seeing it. The full moon is conjunct to the US sun, and it's actually within 18 minutes. So they're not even 1 degree, 18 minutes of a degree. And so it's really tight. So that, that drive and that ego of the United States is at its peak right now. So with that full moon, and something has got to give, which is a little bit scary when you think about it. So that triple conjunction, remember, going back to that, is opposite the US sun. So the US is attacking. So we have that opposition attacking with that Mars and seizing those oil tankers. That Mars, you see that happening there, placing sanctions on. So there's that Venus that, you're going to pay for this, and you don't give money here because you're going to pay for it. So you're getting those sanctions there, that Venus acting in. And the US has that drive and determination to I'm going to stop this from happening. I'm going to, stop all these drugs from getting into this country and blah, blah, blah. And these are these goals that are going on right now. So you see this just playing out perfectly with the astrology. And the triple conjunction is actually square to the US Saturn in the sign of Libra. So it would then be T square. So that Saturn would be T square to this full moon. So we're seeing actually in front of us the breakdown of these foundations, even these government agencies. So we're seeing that also in these shocking news things coming on, like what I was saying about the fraud in Minnesota, and they're actually stopping giving money to these daycares and childcares that because of this fraud that they're finding out about. So you're seeing, that, okay, this is going to stop. So they're taking that money away. Nope, you're not having that money anymore because of this. And so you're seeing these, that Saturn putting the brakes on. Nope, this isn't happening anymore. We're done. So that money given out is halted because of that fraud. So that is that Saturn putting, nope, it's not happening anymore. We're putting a stop to this. We've seen literal foundations being washed away, just like I was talking about with those California mudslides. So this is only a day before. It could get a little bit worse before it gets better. And with Mercury opposite the US Jupiter, we could expect more shocking news and more shit coming out and being exposed. And we know that this is going to be happening because of these files being released and who knows what else. Like I was saying earlier, Uranus is square to the US moon, and it's also trine to Pluto. So these sudden changes will transform our way of life and transform the way we think about things and our basic needs. We have AI taking over and surprises with that. I saw a commercial with a guy that's not even an actual guy. It was an AI made guy. It totally looked real. So these are things that are coming out that are just kind of shocking. It's like, oh my God, this is actually happening. Ultimately, it's, difficult and causing passions to run wild in every different way. You see people just, with complete fear about this AI, and then you see people in other things, they're protesting, totally something completely different. So passions are high all over the place and running wild. And this is, when we have this trine to Pluto, this almost is what needs to happen. Things have to come to a head. It's kind of like, you have a big zit and it's just like, oh, it's just there. And then finally it comes to a head and you can get rid of it. That's what has to happen here, because comes to that breaking point where you can pop it and be done, and then okay, let's heal. Let's let it heal. It came to a head, we got rid of it, and now we're gonna just let it heal, and we're going to unite together as a better country and as a better human, coming together with compassion. Now think about this as a country, and also think about this in just your everyday life and your families and how this could play out for you. So try and keep a sane head through all this. Again, don't fly off the handle. Don't let your emotions take over. Kind of try and be a little bit zen. If you're feeling just out of control, use that Mars, go down, jump on your treadmill like I did this morning and just run it out, or just do something, whatever is going to make you feel better, whatever's going to get that stress out. Open your heart and let that intuition come in to what your gut is trying to tell you, because that is where the truth is. Don't go by what other people are saying, go by what your gut is saying. And again, I hope you all have the best 2026. We're just start right now. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and of course subscribe. Got a very interesting year coming up, and I hope you will join me and we will witness it all together. So I will see y'all soon. Bye.